Hello. Today I'm gonna introduce you to a book I'm currently reading. These workbooks I occasionally get sent to review, and I try to pick some that I can actually use. And this one is How to Be Less Socially Anxious. I don't struggle with social anxiety very much these days anymore, but I used to. I was not just an introvert, I was incredibly shy growing up and was always afraid that if I made a mistake, it reflected badly on my family. And so I would just sit in the back and be quiet. And when I went to parties, I was just always quiet, would only speak if I'm spoken to, and in general, just stay in the corner and observe. So this book is something that I took an interest in because I was curious to see how this author would approach this problem and try to help the reader overcome social anxiety. And what she is doing is basically introducing a set of exercises that both help the reader analyze their own behavior, but also help overcome social anxiety. So, one of the things she actually tries to identify is know what you're afraid of. Why don't you just go to a party and start talking? So, in my case, clearly, I was afraid. I thought if I made a mistake, my parents would hear about it and people would have a worse opinion of my parents because of me. So I didn't want to make a mistake. Some other people may feel that people think less of them. And that's why they stay quiet. And some people just feel inadequate in general and don't want to interact with others. So there are multiple reasons. And this book not only touches on why you have the issue, but also what in general your issue is, and then comes up with exercises. For example, here, don't believe in everything you think. Trying to read too much in some behaviors, trying to read negative things into other people's reaction when really they are just neutral reactions. There's nothing negative. So, being your own worst critic comes to mind in some of these workbooks and some of these exercises. And then the author actually goes and helps you overcome these barriers and maybe become more socially adept and not being afraid to interact with people. So after having some exercises in the first part, the second part is actually walking the reader through a variety of social situations, both work, dating and romance, and similar situations where then the reader again is given exercises to walk through and help analyze their behavior, help identify barriers, and then work on overcoming those barriers. Again, here, your own worst critic comes to mind when there is an exercise that actually says, if you believe something, what is the actual evidence for that belief? Are you just reading too much into something? Is it your own bias that actually comes through rather than other people reacting towards you? So, even if you have friends and acquaintances that you feel comfortable with, it doesn't mean that you don't always feel like the odd wheel out that is just being brought along because they feel sorry for you. Maybe they actually enjoy your company and that's why they bring you along. But you'll never know. A lot of people, I think, suffer from social anxiety. I think COVID, the pandemic, and us staying isolated for a long time and being afraid to interact is really still impacting some people. So this, I think, is an important book. Again, it's How to Be Less Socially Anxious, Practical Skills to Stop Overthinking, Be Confident, and Thrive in Social Situations. And the author is Megan Ashley Smith. It's available online at places like Amazon, and I think it runs about, I want to say $17. But I actually, yeah, $17.99. I actually found this book to be really helpful. I enjoyed looking at the exercises, and I like books that don't just tell you what the problem is, but actually make you work on overcoming the problem. So I really enjoyed this book. I think it's a good book, and I recommend it to people who may suffer from social anxiety and not know what to do or feel helpless and overwhelmed. So, even with back to the office movement, work and school can be a problem. I know we talk a lot about the impact of the pandemic on school performance, but we should also keep in mind that for some kids, the first experience of school was remote learning, and they're back in school now and have been for a while, but I'm sure it's a significant change for them to all of a sudden go to school rather than be in front of the computer. And I know that some of my colleagues who were allowed to work from home for a number of years now with the going back to the office movement that's in play now, going back into the office, not just because of the commute, also that may also have something to do with it, but also because now they have to deal during the workday with people. Whereas before it was, okay, let me turn on the remote computer application and have a remote meeting via Zoom or Teams, whatever. Now you have to deal with people, real life people in the office. So maybe some people there realize they do have anxiety now or are not just that comfortable with people around. So again, this book, I found it helpful. It is a fairly quick read. I like that the chapters are organized based on specific situations. So if you really are just interested in helping you deal with colleagues in the office, you can focus on the work and school issue. If you feel that your social anxiety is holding you back from making friends, there is a chapter on friends. So you can just work a specific chapter or you can work all chapters. So again, this is a book I do think it's helpful. Give it a look. You can usually preview a little bit things on things like Amazon. So have a look, see if that speaks to you, and maybe work through the problems indicated, and you can be helped with your social anxiety and can be more successful. Have fun.